To order, it is 6:04 p.m. Roll call. President Hernandez. Here. Vice President Estes. Here. Board Member Altamirano. Present. Board Member Banda. Here. Board Member Sotomayor. Here. Okay. The Pledge of Allegiance, please. Dennis, will you lead us?
Sorry?
You lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
I have a limited attention span.
Yeah.
Please join me. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adjustments to the agenda.
The library board will discuss the order of the agenda, may amend the order, add urgency items, no abstentions or no votes on the consent calendar items, and request consent calendar items to be removed from the consent calendar for discussion. The library board may also remove items from the consent calendar prior to that portion of the agenda. For purposes of the official city record, the library board may take care of these issues for entertaining a formal motion. Public comment. There's a time limit of 3 minutes for anyone wishing to address the library board on these matters. Matters not appearing on the agenda. If you wish to address the library board concerning any item within the board's jurisdiction, please raise your hand and be acknowledged by the president. At that time, state your name and address for the record. The president reserves the right to place a time limit of 3 minutes for each person's presentation. It is requested that longer presentations be submitted to the library administrator's office in writing 48 hours before the meeting. Anyone here? No. Okay, let's move on. Consent agenda, A1. Approval of the minutes for the regular library board meeting of June 11, 2024.
Motion to approve?
And I'll second that. Okay, motion in a second. And then let's move on to.
Votes. I mean, unless we can tell, if you, on each one, we just, the law just says that when they vote and we don't have it on the screen, you have to be able to identify who voted which way. So
Okay.
I know it's, I mean,
Okay,
we
thank
could
you.
say aye and everyone will know, everyone agrees, but I think it's better to do the
Okay,
roll
we can
call
do roll
on
call.
each item.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
she'll
Okay.
read your names and say whether you
Let's
voted.
see.
Roll call. Board Member Altamirano,
Yes.
Board Member Banda,
Aye.
Board Member Hernandez,
Yes.
Board Member, Vice President Estes,
Aye.
and Board Member Sotomayor.
Aye.
Okay, work session of the Imperial, of course, Imperial. Work session of the Library Board of Trustees. Item B1, review and discussion of fiscal year 2024-2025 library budget.
Madam President and Board of Trustees, during our work session, we provided you the outline of the requested fiscal year funds of 2024-2025. There were no changes to that, and on July 3rd, the budget was adopted by the council. I just wanted to go ahead and provide you that information to see if you have any questions or
I wonder if, since this is some of these members are new, maybe you could do a quick overview, because you spend a lot of hours working on this. If you could just kind of do maybe like a 3-minute walkthrough so they know what they're looking for when they're. And by the way, that you can always suggest the budget at any time or details on any of the finances.
So we have line items with the budget. So at the very beginning, from 5101 through 50.
That's long, huh?
Yes, 50. Well,
I think all the way to
I
5124.
I think it's 5130 through the education incentive. That is all for staff. Those are staff benefit wages and fully burdened cost of staff. After that, this is where we have the general funds that go through go towards programming, some materials and supplies, and taking care of the library. And so what we would be looking at is starting at 5210 with contract services. And so the contract services includes our alarm and sprinkler. Each year we have inspections for our fire alarm and sprinkler system. And we have a contract for custodial supplies, our mini storage, and then Sparkletts water for right now. And then literacy services, we have a $34,000 match that goes towards the general fund provides $34,000 to match our literacy services, which we receive approximately $82,000 from the state library for literacy services, which provides the fully burdened staff salary to have a full-time staff. And yeah, as you look at it, we have the maintenance of our 2009 Toyota Highlander, or the vehicle fuel, which we never reach $1,000. We just basically drive back and forth to City Hall. Our publication dues, it's publications such as our local newspapers that are out for circulation for the community. Dues such as our Sarah Cooperative, which is Imperial County in San Diego. And then we have our memberships with the California Library Association, American Library Association, American Rural and Small Libraries Association. And then we have some resources for our staff, especially for our librarian who selects the books to purchase. So she has some professional publications that she utilizes. And then we have some database that we use, which is for online circulation, our ancestry program. And that,
You can tell
Yeah.
Ember's entered
I
everything.
know.
I know it really well. No, it's really good. That was more than I
it's so
expected.
easy.
Yeah, no, it's great.
So then we have, in our training and education, we have our education planned for attending the CLA conference, the CLA Annual Youth Services Interest Group Summit for one staff, the Association of Rural Small Libraries Conference, and online training through the ALA or Library Juice. And included in this budget is education for the trustees as well. So the trustees, we don't have an individual account number for the trustees, so the trustees are in with each breakdown of the items. And let me see, and then the 5301 is office supplies. And then we have, let me see, safety equipment and clothing. So the safety and equipment and clothing is keeping our first aid kit fully supplied. And then this year we'll be purchasing some nice shirts for all of our trustees and all of our staff. And then the special department supplies is everything that happens in the library cards, processing materials to process the books, bookmarks, anything that makes a program happen or makes the it covers everything. And if you have any specific questions, I can answer for that.
I do. I'm just curious on the where does it go? Where did it go? Education incentive.
Yes.
What is that?
The education incentive is a benefit the city provides for staff who would like to further their education. So it's a really nice benefit that all staff at the city are provided the opportunity to continue their goal of obtaining their BA or master's.
Okay.
And you'll see it's marked at 0 this year, but if one of the employees requests it, it'll be, put in there. Cause it's offered to them, but they may not be doing school right now.
Okay, so it's an incentive that to complete it, to pay for whatever training, or is it an incentive, like you finish this training, then you get that as like a sort
a
of like a
reimbursement?
bonus or like a,
You
I-
submit an application to the city manager, requesting to, take some courses, through a
Usually certified college or a college.
thank you for the
It's
wording.
to encourage people that, whether it's masters or
Oh, okay.
undergrad, and then they get
Okay.
paid.
Right.
I can't remember the.
It's a benefit.
There,
It's a benefit.
there is,
For them to go to school. It's
as Ember indicates, there is an application, and the application asks the employee to articulate where they're going, the classes they anticipate taking, and how taking those classes will enhance their ability and what they bring to the city. There's a cap per year, and it's a reimbursement. So when the employee demonstrates a passing grade and the fact that they paid, how much they paid, then that's where the reimbursement.
It's a benefit. It's a benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very nice.
I'm so
So
happy
there's
they did that.
training that is part of the budget that staff, we send staff to, and that's basically to enhance the skills for the job. The educational incentive is aimed at those employees who want to expand and get, usually you see either an Associates of Arts or bachelor's or master's degree.
And is there a cap for each individual, for each employee? Or if they take as many classes, then they would
Yeah,
benefit from that
like I say,
incentive?
there's an annual cap. I'm trying to think if it's
Over-
1,500 or 2,500
I
or
think it's
2,000.
2,000, yeah.
Okay. So it's
So-
2,000 per employee?
And it's per year, it's not, yeah. So most of them are full-time doing it in the afternoons and can't, take too many courses at once, but so 2,000.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's a very nice benefit to provide. We're very thankful to our management and our leaders, our city council for, providing that benefit. And then on 5332 is a cannabis CUP, funding. And that is, what we've reviewed throughout the library, the different, furnishings we've been able to purchase through that to continue, making our facility a nice welcoming space for all to visit. And then, let's see, equipment is our copy machine. So it's keeping, taking care of the copy machine, the printer, and the ink. And then there are a few items that we have identified, such as a water fountain with a where you can a refillable water bottle station, and then we'll be painting the restrooms and trying to make the restrooms a more welcoming spot without spending being very feasible. And then our library books is our circulation materials.
Thank you, Amber.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for the detail.
I'm so in depth. I apologize.
That was great.
No, it's good.
Just very quickly to give you some context, what you see here, if you look at the first page at the very top, it says general fund, and then it says expenditures. So what you don't have before you is the revenue side.
Okay.
General fund is the name of the account that the city, where the city puts a money that can be used for any proper municipal services. So that's where you see a lot of the labor costs for police and the fire contract and things like that. What you don't see here, other than reference to the cannabis money, is the revenue side. But the library is largely a general fund department. But I think as Ember could go into some detail about,
Yeah.
if you wanted to hear it at some point, they pursue a lot of grants. Obviously, those grants have very specific requirements and limitations on how they're used, and there's reporting requirements that go along with them. So you don't have that information. There's a sheet like this for every department, and when you put it all together, what the council gets is a document that's several inches thick, because when you get into the revenue side, then there's a sheet that looks like this that identifies all the revenues. Ember made reference to the conditional use permit when March and Ash went through a competitive process and was selected to be the cannabis retail supplier for the city of Imperial, and the voters approved a sales tax. So if you should frequent March and Ash, when you get your receipt, you'll see reference to a sales tax. The other thing that March and Ash basically volunteered to do, and they do that, I gather, in other jurisdictions where they have retail outlets, is as part of the permit that the city issued, they pledge a certain percentage of their what's referred to in the agreement as gross profit. So I guess if you're an accountant, you know what that is. But in any case, and those fees are dedicated to the library and police and parks. And so Ember is part of a team that reviews that income, and then they each have a discussion amongst with this group as to how those funds will be expended.
Well done last year in that group. Furniture.
I don't participate in those meetings. I gathered that there hasn't been any fistfights or anything.
But
That's what you think.
That's what we
I
think.
think
That's what we
they-
hope.
I think the directors get along well and are team players and recognize each department's needs. So it's been a very positive thing.
I'll let Dennis go into it a little bit more. The police department, something exciting that they're doing with the funds is I don't know their name of their program that they
Explorer
have.
program.
The Explorer program. They're taking their graduates to Knott's Berry Farm, I believe, for graduation.
Well, the
yeah,
Knott's
it's a
Berry
great
Farm is a
experience.
reward for attending an academy the preceding week. But if you see a big van driving around town, that was funded by the March and Ash cannabis fees.
They
A lot of
basically,
great-
but that they volunteer, it's not even directly from the tax, it's that additional percent that they
Pledge.
It's in
pledge.
addition to the sales tax,
Yes,
and it was part of their proposal.
okay.
So, while it
me,
wasn't
will be-
mandated by, like the sales tax is, it is something that they included in order to make their application more competitive.
A lot of
And-
great things. have
And Dennis
come from it.
mentioned it, I am not a user of the marijuana, but I went in and purchased some, and it literally, you'll be able to see, it's a really interesting breakdown, because
Checking the bill.
yeah, I wouldn't be talking about it if I was in there every day. But they also, but it'll break down the state tax. So you'll see it'll have the city tax, the state tax, and then it explains that there's this extra. It's pretty nice. So, and then direct results.
Well, thank you, March and Ash.
Yeah.
We're very,
I
very
didn't know
thankful.
that part.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
And that the program's expected to continue just indefinitely, or?
Yes, I mean, in terms of the conditional use permit, now, by indefinitely, I would anticipate it would be indefinite. There are terms in the conditional use permit, as I recall, that requires them to come back to the city for renewal every so many years.
Okay.
But I think so long as they're complying with all of the conditions of their permit.
Yeah.
And of course, as long as the business is working financially for them, then I would say, yeah, we would anticipate that it would continue.
And I do think we noticed that some of the money went down with the competitors. El Centro kind of got a large number of folks. So, but I think March and Ash is still the most successful one in the valley, is my understanding.
So it's more or less a steady flow of income for the library then, and for the police department and
Parks and Rec.
parks. Okay.
It started off very strong in 2020. It has tapered down a little bit.
Okay.
So we'll just.
But it's something
Yeah.
coming in. So, from my understanding is that how it works is the income for the library basically is just, it trickles down from the big general fund because the library itself doesn't generate enough revenue, let's say, from fees and everything. Okay, all right, got it. That's the accountant in me
That was
talking.
good thing you're an accountant, you
And
know?
for comparison, because I think that general fund concept is extremely important. Dennis runs, special revenue funds like sewer and water. You can't touch that money, but that's funded through,
It's
so-
restricted.
But we don't have those in the library. You've got grant money and CUP money, but when you hear the council talking about we can't afford that with our general fund, you'll hear it on all those other topics and it impacts you, because everyone's taken from it.
When we start looking for grants.
So then B5 will be fun.
I like that.
Okay, so I think, are we good with this one? Do we want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, we're
Anyone else
fine.
have questions? Okay, cool.
Do we need
Um,
to approve that?
I think it's just
I think we're
discussion.
just gonna discuss, because this one got approved. You guys recommended the overview. I just wanted to make sure you know what was in there. 'Cause it's good.
Perfect.
Thanks for all the detail.
Yeah, it helps. Okay, so item B2, review and discussion of trustee attendance to the California Library Association CLA conference scheduled to be held in Pasadena, California, October 17th through 19th, 2024.
So, Madam President and trustees, with the municipal budget we discussed, it was approved in the budget to provide funding to send up to two trustees to the CLA conference, which is being held in Pasadena this year, October 17th, which is Thursday through Saturday, October 19th. I listed just an overview of the schedule, so you can see that Saturday, it ends at 5 p.m., so you would more than likely stay Saturday night since it's a 4-hour drive. But, so it could be Wednesday through Sunday, or everyone can take a look at the
Okay.
online
Nine in the morning.
classes and look at their schedule to see if anyone's interested in attending. Currently, the librarian and myself are approved to attend, and we are registered. We attend, there's no registration fee for us because that is a benefit from our CLA membership. And we are working with the city manager on identifying possibly 2 other staff to attend, which would be our literacy coordinator, because they have specific trainings for the literacy coordinator. And then the one person that works, does a lot of programming with the grants. So the CLA conference provides an amazing opportunity to connect with the California State Library. The California State Library librarian will be there. Once he meets you, he'll see you 10 years later and he'll remember your name. And then all of the grant analysts, everyone's there where you can make that personal connection with them and find out what, throw ideas at them and find out what funding's coming, grant funding is coming up. And so I just wanted to put this information before you so you can review that, and then possibly at our next meeting, you can maybe discuss who would like to attend. That way we can register our trustee or trustees and make the hotel reservations, because the hotel reservations do sell out fast, and you don't want to have to bus in. It's nice being right next door to the
Oh, yeah.
conference.
And I would love to attend this, but I won't be able to actually have a surgery scheduled those days, so I think if you ladies are interested, you should go. It sounds really, really great.
I'm actually very interested on doing it.
And it's a great area, great restaurants, everything.
It does, yes.
Stay.
Yes.
Great sushi place I can recommend.
So we're gonna call her.
Like the
before
city
we-
manager and
Call me a video call, show me.
Like the city.
they're like, you guys should go too.
No, I can work on my schedule around that.
Definitely, me too. But Amber, my question is I guess maybe more the, what's it called? The, I can think of the word. Because I'm thinking it starts at 9, right? The first
Yes.
session on Thursday. So, I think to me it's more transportation, right?
Yes.
Transportation. I mean,
Yeah,
Go
that's a
ahead.
good question.
What I would recommend and what we do as a staff, we go through all the classes and identify which sessions we'd like to attend. And then we also make sure we're not doubling up unless we're working as a team on something. And then that way we can really work well together on a program. So what we would do is we would all have our schedules put together. I will be actually attending one day earlier because they have a director's all-day meeting. But there's other staff that will be traveling up on Wednesday, so I'll be going up on Tuesday. But you may see where you might just want to go Thursday and Friday or Friday and Saturday. You can look at the full schedule and see what's the most beneficial for each of you.
And
I
do
think
they have as many classes, I'm sorry, as like that other one?
The ALA, not as many. I think ALA had about 1,900 classes, I think. I didn't count how many
It was a lot.
they have for CLA, but there are quite a few. It's still, I mean, it's,
Like it's a good idea to really plan ahead and like.
yes.
And
Oh,
it's
my
like-
goodness. Yes, I was running from
Yeah.
one end of the one end of the convention center from 1A to 38B, which was always on at the end of the hall instead of at the beginning of the hall. So yes, it's very good to have your schedule ready to go.
This is held in the Pasadena Convention
Yes.
Center, right?
Yes.
So right across the street, there's actually a hotel, the Hyatt Place. Very easy access. So I mean,
Register now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's in case the whole thing with traveling and getting parking and stuff. I know the situation is really difficult, but I mean, it's a thought for you guys. It's right across the street and it's great.
Did you talk about carpooling with staff and all
Yeah,
that?
yes.
Be
So
the
we,
word logistics, that's what.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that's
yes.
Yeah.
That was a
yes.
Okay, how are we gonna get there?
So,
I could take my car, this time I could.
So that is one thing that needs to be discussed with Human Resources. We did discuss last time with using city vehicles. Currently, trustees are not covered under the insurance for the city vehicles.
Would this include the reimbursement per
Reimbursement for
mileage?
mileage.
So it kind of, and I think the other question was, if it starts at 9, how do I do the 4-hour drive?
Yeah, we do it the day before,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Right. Yep.
but they'll go through it, the way that the staff and Ember handles it is you'll know every detail of all of that before, because it gets approved by Dennis. Okay.
Does that
So-
travel thing include, let's say, if you fly into LAX and take an Uber to there?
From here to,
Yeah. 'Cause I know
if
that's
it's
a-
reasonable,
Yeah.
it would
It's
be,
like
it would be
$100, I think.
This
proposed.
is one of Dennis's
Oh,
favorite topics.
what about flying from Imperial to LAX?
Yeah, Imperial to LAX
Well-
It
is
is,
a very
my
easy
daughter's-
flight, but
I mean,
So with respect to, well, the city will get you there and back.
Okay.
That's the short. The details, I know that there was some question about insurance. And I thought we had cleared that up in terms of who, is today's word still that library board members would not be covered if they operated a city vehicle? I thought we had looked into that and cleared that up. The point being, if there's a city vehicle available, then we would make that available for you to take. Now, if indeed you're eligible, meaning that the question that we had about insurance has been addressed, and a city vehicle is available, we would not reimburse mileage because we would prefer that you take a city vehicle.
Okay.
If it turns out that a city vehicle is not available, then the city would reimburse your mileage at whatever the government rate it now is, 60-something cents per mile, I believe. Now, in terms of LAX and, if you're really adventurous, I suppose you could take a train, probably cheaper than an Uber, but, like I said, we have enough notice that once we know who's attending, we'll make the arrangements and figure out the transportation.
So currently we have 2 people that are looking into,
Yes.
Yes.
We currently have.
And just in terms of the Brown Act, for scheduling purposes, you're allowed to talk to Ember and each other, right? So it's actually specifically, because when you're talking about scheduling a meeting or talking about scheduling something, I think that this would be inappropriate. Don't feel worried about any issues.
thank you.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Was there anyone else that was interested in looking at the classes?
Well, I think if we have 2 that are,
Right.
ready
Right,
and
that's what we
willing,
have
I
scheduled.
don't think we should,
Okay.
Yeah,
you're
I'm not available on
Okay.
those.
Yeah, I'm all for them going if they're available.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then maybe just a reminder that the next year, maybe that would be, if it works.
yeah.
So put it in your
absolutely.
calendar now
Yeah.
if possible. It's
Yeah.
with-
Yeah.
It's always around the same time? It
Yes,
is-
yes,
okay.
October.
Is this the one that changes location drastically?
Yes.
Okay.
It goes from Pasadena to Sacramento. So,
Yeah,
We're
think
lucky
about
we
that.
got
if you
Pasadena.
can.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
no,
well,
that.
Sacramento, I mean, you get to visit their library, which
Yeah.
is beautiful.
I don't think we'll have a city vehicle for that one.
No, definitely, fly. Well, we can have an experience.
Yes. All right. So,
That's why we brought the budget, so we know you're gonna attend these things and come back with a lot of ideas.
yeah.
I'll be, oh, no. Okay.
All right, so we'll move on to item B3, review and discussion of library services for aging, dementia, Alzheimer's grant opportunities.
Yes. So I am going to provide you a little bit more information, since some more information came about through the ALA conference that I attended. So the purpose of the grants are to serve the underserved community and be very inclusive and ensure that all feel welcome to come to the library. And one group of people are the older adults that may not feel comfortable to come into the library, having someplace comfortable to sit. And then once families, and their caregivers and people are diagnosed with dementia or Alzheimer's, it's even more difficult to come to the library to access resources. So that it is one mission that I'd like to pursue, to provide resources for older adults, have them come, have programming available here, and they know what we have here. And in addition to that, we will have resources for those who may start having dementia that will be more proactive and keep them their quality of life better as long as possible, along with Alzheimer's. I did make a lot of contacts during ALA with some top of a level like CEOs and different librarians that serve these services. And it was revealed that there is a $10,000 grant that is opening in October that's specifically for dementia. So we could, I have been working on this, and we could push this off. Not saying that we will be awarded that, but we could hold on to it and apply for that in October through the ALA. I'm becoming parts of some committees for outreach for the people with dementia. So I think I'll have a lot of good resources to put into the grant. If we did that, what I would do, I already spoke to the grant analyst from the California State Library while I was at ALA about this program. And what I would do, if everyone is agreeable, I would contact him. I would email him tomorrow and ask him about a library program, because this specific program that's from $20,000 to $100,000 through California State Library is to provide programs that the California State Library typically does not provide grants for. So in the past, since 2020, we've been funded grants to provide early learning programming. And then we moved into the gardening component, which was serving early learners and teens. I think that if we provided programming with the garden for families, and for adults and older adults,
Yes.
that would be a
idea.
competitive program. I picked up this book at ALA, and it's sustainable lighting programs for libraries. So it includes having a beehive on top of the library.
That caught his attention.
You might have been multitasking. I think he's voting for the beehive. But it would include, some of these things we're doing during the summer, during our summer programming, and they're very popular. The beekeeping class that we had, I believe we had 35 adults attend.
Wow.
And then the room was packed with the children's intro to beekeeping. So I think people are very interested in that. But some of the things that we would look at is composting, preserving food, pollinator-friendly gardening, which we could do in front of our library as well, and have information about all the flowers that, and then growing vegetables, because we have a learning garden, making herbal tea blends is one item that's in here.
Nice.
I've actually had a patron come to me asking me about if we're thinking about doing herbal medicine, and that is in this book as well. So an introduction to herbal medicine, and then bees and pollinator education. So this provides a different opportunity for a grant, and so I wanted to provide that information to you.
And Amber, would you actually consider having a garden or part of the garden extended into to the front of the library?
The garden in front of the library would be the garden that are flowers that are attracting the pollinators. And then when we would have informational signs in front of them.
When I talk to people about the garden, people are like, where? I'm like, it's there, I promise you. It's there.
Yes,
So it's kind of tucked away, which
Yeah.
is nice,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
some people are just not aware that it's
Right.
there.
Yeah. And it definitely needs a sign at the
Or
front.
like little arrows or something.
Fundraise for that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea though, that the garden would more visible, but working with, if possibly that grant for dementia and Alzheimer's, is there programs available? We know we have for the kids here, but I know that children and elderly go together very
Exactly.
well.
Yes.
So
There are programs called memory cafes, and where the family comes in with their older person, who, if we're talking about someone that has dementia or Alzheimer's, and you have programming together and just different activities where everyone's able to connect, and then you have that resource in connecting with other people that might be experiencing same thing that you're experiencing, and form that connection with your community. Today, I don't recall her. I actually met with the program coordinator at the new apartment complex that's being built for the senior living.
That's a great idea.
Yes.
Because all they are coming over.
So she came in today and we met briefly, and she's wanting to set up an MOU where we can bring the seniors over here and do programming, and we can actually go over there and for an outreach and provide programming. Because libraries, we always want them to come into the building, but if they're not able to come into the building, then libraries will go to you.
Have they talked about any Medicare funding? No, I know that there is sometimes funding for some of these programs if it can tie to the library. I just looked down that avenue.
That's
perhaps
very
with
good
social
idea.
services as well, they would probably pitch in.
Yeah. What was that?
Well, social services.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely a component of these grants, you need to have partners. And so like the Area Agency on Aging, different resources like that and then we want we have that funding for, depending on where we get the funding from, the grant that's offered through the California State Library, it's a 9-month program. So it's something we want to get the resources that we need to provide procured and ready for everybody. And then basically train, maybe bring people in from the outside to provide those programming, since, such as area agency on aging, they might have a coordinator that will come in and do the programs for us. So we're not relying on our staff to do all the programs.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, it's a great initiative.
Especially like you say, because we're gonna have the building, the senior building coming up. So we will help them with that. So, great idea.
So for the California State Library, we can only apply for one grant. So it would be either or, the inclusive programming for dementia, or the sustainable living for families and adults. But once again, we do have that ALA opportunity in October for the dementia.
So when are you planning to apply for that?
I'm coming to you and providing you the information to see if you have any.
Can I circle back to what you said? Maybe I missed it. Is there something that is going to be built or created for older adults?
Yeah, we have those new apartments that we have in there. They're all
Oh, that's
senior
okay.
citizens. So it's a perfect, it will fit perfectly with this idea.
Oh, I see.
How many
But it's-
people, do you guys know how many people we can put on that building?
68 units, I believe, or according to a newspaper article that I read. I'm sorry.
61,
61.
I believe.
Oh, that might be very nice, you know, 'cause that's a big building for only 68.
There's space downstairs, and that there's a lot of things that I thought they were providing, and
I'll
we have
confirm the
access to
number.
it.
For some reason, 60 and 80 both popped into my head.
Okay.
and
I think.
So the apartments are housing for senior citizens, and it's going to have a space where activities can be
Yes,
held.
and it's for
I think
low
that's
income.
Very
Yes.
important, because when I think of activities available to, older adults, seniors, I think Calexico. I hear all these ladies
Yes.
being so involved with their community in the
Yes.
city
Yes.
because of all the activities they have, and they love it.
Yes.
So every friend and their mom goes there. And they love it, and I think it really does improve the quality of their lives.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I think that's super important.
And we did, when we spoke with the coordinator, rather than us assuming what they would like to do, it was like we'd love to meet with everyone and connect with them and see what their interests are, because everyone thinks bingo or,
They want Zumba.
so.
But I like the idea that it's gonna help the families to understand what that person is going through.
Yeah.
The take care, the person that is taking care of those people.
Yes.
Because like my sisters, taking care of my mom. And once you talk to her, you think everything is fine, but they actually need some help. They need to talk to somebody. So I think this program is gonna be just amazing for all of them.
And then we have another senior living complex that's right around the corner from the library, which is on Barione Boulevard. So seniors do live there as well. We haven't reached out to them yet.
But there's no space there to run.
I believe they may have a small space.
Okay. Okay. But that's when
So-
you say to establish those relationships.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Where we can go
collaborate
to
on
them,
those
and
activities.
we actually, during when everything was shut down, we identified, during COVID 2020, most of our seniors who lived in that area, we had one staff person that would call them weekly to check in with them. And then at one point, we would drop off books for them.
Nice.
So
Audiobooks. I just bought one, and I'm like, how do I access you? I have to go back and figure it out. I can. I don't know what happened to my Coraline.
So you were mentioning you were waiting for us.
I wanted your feedback.
Okay.
I don't want you're here to
Yeah.
And you're
On-
asking, because you have to make a choice.
You have to
want
make a
some-
choice between two grants.
Yes, yes. So, I mean, once again, we could roll the dice and apply for both grants. And
what
think that we can, apply for the sustainable, I'll talk to the grant analyst tomorrow. Make sure that this would qualify since they do have some programming that is about, sustainable programs. But I'll make it a little bit more interesting for, and, see if it would work, if it would be a competitive grant.
Yeah. I remember a few years ago, Sustaining Organic Living used to be put on by Corinne Eugenio. She used to be part of that business. So they had quite a crowd coming in. So I do know that there is people that would want that grant.
Oh,
It was right
definitely.
behind the chamber. And I mean, they even had like drop-offs of like organic food. Like it was a whole, there's a crowd for it. But this is a really good one
Well,
too.
and I know the planning department, the community development, I believe, I haven't been in communication with them yet, but I know that they are working with the composting, and that's a definite another partner we could have.
Yeah, it's a hugely important program right now because the state has mandated that people use the composting. And so there's grant money there, not for more enforcement and requirements. So I don't think it's available, but they are required by law to put a huge amount of effort into the composting side of things, recycling, because of the state mandate.
Is there opportunity or bins, if you will, to show the community how to do that? Because I feel like if there is, we went to the IID's Earth Day event, and people were like, well, if I knew how, or if I had a bin, like they kind of like, okay, I know I need to do it, but I don't know how to get started.
That's a great, we actually,
Where the
Dennis will
compost?
know this, but we actually have given out bins, but he knows more.
I think at the city special events, I see little tiny
Yeah.
containers being passed out that is intended to help assist with the recycling of the organics. I believe we're all supposed to be receiving a green container into which you can put your organics and your green waste.
So it's important for
We have
education.
an employee whose job function is devoted to trying to educate so that we would achieve compliance. And as the city attorney indicates, the part of the motivation, aside from the fact that some of us might think is good for the environment and all of that, but the state feels strongly enough about it that they're saying to us that they're going to fine us if we don't demonstrate compliance with 1383. So, and I know there have been efforts by Cal Cities to try to get legislators to back off a bit, if they do nothing else other than kind of extend some of the deadlines. And there was no traction to be had with the state. So I have yet to hear of any jurisdiction getting fined, but the state is aggressively pursuing people on the housing front if they're not meeting their goals that the state has established for housing. And so I would frankly anticipate that if there are jurisdictions who push back with respect to enforcement of 1383, that there's going to be consequences. So I received another flyer in the mail, and I think the effort of staff is to, and the flyer you get's going to speak to fines. So that's one of the requirements of 1383. There, at some point in time, the state's going to expect to see that people have been fined if they don't comply.
I think it's very interesting because I've heard and I've read complaints like I got fined because I put plastic. It was just a mistake. So that's what I hear a lot, right? It was kind of those oopsies, but it happened and the enforcer comes in and catches that. But I think there's another group of people that would really like to help or do it correctly. But the flyers do help. I've learned from the stuff you've sent.
Okay, well, That's the intent. We have no interest in making criminals out of
No,
citizens of
But I think
Imperial.
sometimes like I think of, oh, I remember that very good post from the city and I'm there looking for it. So maybe it's just constant refreshing that information.
They're
These are the things that
posting it
don't,
again.
yes, these things don't belong there. These things like, palm tree, like the-
Leaves.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what?
Dennis's favorite
Oh.
topic is the palm trees. We're working on palm trees. It's getting updated and there was community input. So you'll hear more about the palm trees soon.
Oh, my
So,
gosh.
Get
but
with
I
the
read
landscapers.
Yeah. And if you're part of that Imperial Valley, group, which is great, everybody learns a lot. There's 33,000 followers. People did report that they had gotten their first notice, but I'll tell you, they open the trash can, they have to look, it's part of the requirements. Nobody's been fined, they're being educated.
Yes.
So they work with them. So that's where we're at. But I can tell you that I bet if you talk to them now, they would be delighted to hear there's interest tied to the library because education's the key.
One problem I anticipate with enforcement is those containers are out in front of your residence, exposed to the public. And so what happens between the time you put it out there and when they come and the city comes and looks, I expect to hear, wasn't in there when I put it out there, right? And so there's going to be a lot of contamination going on. And so,
When is the
it-
deadline for like the city to be at that expected compliance level?
Yeah, I think the deadline,
Have
the
start
deadline is
enforcing.
probably, we're already past
Yeah.
a deadline.
Because I know
And-
sometimes it said by,
We started to send letters out and begin the education. It's just hard because some people don't care about trash, right? They see the bill in the mail, they don't even open it. Dennis opens his. But so it's been a year and a half or 2 years of it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, and then you'll see when you deal with the code enforcement folks if you have to, which they're very friendly, and the person running this program over at Community Development is all about education and helping people.
I met him at that.
Oh yeah, you went with the guy. Yeah, there's also we've got a girl who does the education, the outreach. But I bet she would
Great.
come in
They are great.
and not only talk to you about it, but also do something with Amber.
That'd
Can
be
I,
so
can I
good.
suggest something on that note? Since we're looking at, the grants and everything and looking at, funding possibly, with the sustainable, obviously gardens and stuff and going into that subject, do you think it would be something that they would consider the library funding it a little bit more? We have our garden here, but has there ever been something, partnership with Parks and Recreation where we expand the garden into each of the parks of the city? A small portion dedicated to that, possibly with the small little library from Imperial. And that way we can also say, these are the days that we're gonna start those projects, and why don't you come on down and we'll teach you about compost right here in each of the city's, parks. I
I think that's a great idea.
Great
It's a very great idea. And at the next meeting, I'll provide additional information. I was speaking to someone who attends all the gardening programs in adult, and she knows of someone who would allow a plot of land to put a community garden on. I said, well, that would be a lot of talking to the city attorney and city manager about. There's
thinking
lots of
like in each of
opportunities out there.
each in our parks. I mean, I figure if it's already there and that belongs to the city, then we encourage those neighborhoods as well, hey, think of your public library, think of your Parks and Recreation, City of Imperial, we're providing this little space. And so maybe this is something that we can look into, that we have a small garden, but let's think, where are we gonna find space? Well, we
Right.
have space.
So
Yes.
you're thinking a community garden
And
at
each of our city parks,
at
so
each of the city
around
parks.
the city.
Not a bad idea.
It's a
Or are
discussion.
you talking a composting opportunity where
Yeah,
people?
so, yeah, and also, like, when the public knows that we're gonna be doing, okay, let's say, this is Eager Park, or which is Eager Park?
Yeah, that's,
Yeah. Eager Park, say, guess what, community gardens expanding into Eager Park, come on down to learn about that, and as well, let's teach you about composting. People are gonna be there and make it like a small little event for that day. That way, the people, like you said, they don't pay attention or they don't care about what's coming in the mail, but they're gonna pay attention when they find out in their neighborhood somebody is there. and, you know, hey, come on down, make it a fun event and just kind of get them out. And then that way they see, oh, this is how I'm supposed to do compost. And they start getting the information and it starts clicking with them. But we draw that back to the library and parks that it's kind of, we're expanding as well because it's a good opportunity for us.
Responsibility for enforcement at this point is with our community development department, as Ember indicated. So I would say this, the city is probably, wouldn't be the shining example of recycling at this point.
Yeah.
Because in walking around City Hall, I notice we have no opportunity. We have paper,
Yeah.
right? Recycling of paper stuff. But we have, I said, we give away these containers at our market events. How come we don't have any in the kitchen at City Hall? And it's part of just getting used to it. The employees, because employees are saying, well, I'm not going to dig through my lunch and separate out the trash. Well, I think it's going to be a habit that we have to get into. There are a lot of other countries that are way ahead of us in this regard, and so it's like a way of life.
I think we have to start actually now with the kids at school, maybe. Start with like maybe fourth grader an app, and then start in that way because look, the kids will make it conscious to do it right. So we're looking at the future right now. I know it's hard for us to do it because believe me, when I heard the lady was going around, I made sure I didn't know about it.
I think
Maybe
that
what you
it
can
would
do
be
is, like she said,
directly-
you start in the schools, but
schools.
you can make it this is what our school did, Cal State, San Marcos. We were the top recyclers of all the Cal States when I was in school. So what would happen is that when we would win the award, they'd throw a huge pizza party for the entire school. And with the recognition, so maybe if you make it competitive with any one of the schools, even the high school, who is going to be the top recycler, and that includes the teachers in there with the kids, and just say, I know it's a little expensive, but like a pizza party for the kids, and all of a sudden that gets them,
I think the schools are actually way behind, and I'm not just speaking Imperial schools. You would see those the bins this tall.
Yeah.
Full of perfectly beautiful oranges. They're like, I don't want it. I don't want it. Apples. They're in the trash this tall. So,
and it would, and like maybe
So that's
you
what
give
I'm
the
saying.
kids the incentive, yeah.
but I don't know like where the responsibility lies, but I think overall as a community, there's like a lot of work to be that has to happen because I mean it's a good opportunity to do it in the schools, but a lot of times if it happens in the schools, it's a teacher or an individual group that supports that effort, but it's not happening in the schools as often as we would think. It's
And
not.
that's why if we make it like a competition, then they start getting into it because there's an incentive for if the whole school participates.
Yeah, but you have to pitch it to each individual principal. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a bigger, like,
Yeah.
mound
It's
of-
getting the
it's-
principals together is not that hard because they do have principals meetings. And I know this because I came from higher education. There's a play, even with the superintendents, like if you want to go bigger, ICOE has a superintendent's meeting. So if there's anything that we ever want to pitch in that scale, it's not that hard to get them all in one room. But we are far back because then you think about them throwing away food. Well, that food could have been given to the food bank. So that's just the whole rolling ball
Yeah,
that we're
just like here, the field day they had in El Centro, there was not a single recycling bin, not a single one of them. So it seems easy, but it's a lot harder than it appears because there's so many moving pieces and we're talking, so many kids and parents and communities. But I think it's like you said, just getting in the habit, and then slowly but surely.
Well,
but
and I
it's
think,
a task. Yeah, it's
and
a
we'll,
task.
we'll have a good update on what resources they have through the community development program that Ember can tie into hers, because I think that's,
And then on
everyone's
a-
on board with it.
Good note, as I mentioned at our last meeting, our lunch at the library, all scraps are being composted. So the teen interns they have composting bins, and so they are doing that. And then with our programming that we had with the garden, with the master gardeners, we actually ended up hiring that person that did the story time about composting. And she taught she's our new literacy coordinator. but she did story time about composting, and so all the kids were adding the eggshells and, all the different foods in the composting bin,
That's
when
what it
they were
is,
trying to
the
feed
little-
the worms.
Little ones early.
Yes, yeah.
That's what I'm
Absolutely.
saying. Let's go start with the
Yes,
school.
with the little ones.
So that definitely could be an outreach that we could maybe, start small. But I think the school district that working with the community development as a partner, being a resource to them.
So there is, as I indicated, that there is a small amount of grant money that's available. The state says, well, here's some grant money to help you with your enforcement, and then it's not enough to hire a full-time
Yeah.
person.
Exactly.
What we did do is purchased a conversion for the food bank so they could have a lift gate. So the council recently authorized that, so that should assist, because I think everybody kind of looked to the food bank as the panacea for all of the prepared food and all of that, and the food bank is saying they're not really not equipped at this point to deal with that volume. I'm not sure I appreciate all the ins and outs of the rules. I'm told that many of our businesses in Imperial are exempt for whatever reason. There are some exemptions built into the law, some of which, like there are some apartment complexes that don't have room for the composting. And so the law says, okay, well, if you don't have room, you don't have to do it.
That's so interesting.
And so it's as it stands now, our AB 1383 part-time person and our code enforcement go around neighborhoods and leave what we call courtesy notices. And when people get those, the reaction is not a happy one. They basically see the courtesy notice as a citation, and then this is the first I'm hearing of this. Why hasn't the city told us? And so it is, but I agree that certainly schools, because usually my observation of kids is that they're not bashful about telling mom and dad or whoever is watching over them about what they're supposed to be doing when they see them not doing.
Yeah, my kids will speak.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm getting to a stop sign. You're not stopping. I'm stopping, girl. I'm stopping. Like, let me get there and I can stop. And it's just, they love to do that. They love to point out where you're, and it starts with the kids. So maybe we start there.
The little ones.
Yeah.
But
The
let's,
kindergartners.
yeah, because that's when they're sponges. They
Pre-K
really
and
do.
kindergarten.
Say, listen at that.
Let me bring it back.
If you apply for both.
I want to say you did have, there's a gentleman that he's very knowledgeable about compost. I wanna say
Yes.
he has been here at the library. No, I remembered some,
We,
maybe at the,
maybe, I'm not sure if it's been at the library. I will tell you, I have attended probably 7 presentations on the composting from, but that's that other group presenting.
yeah.
What you don't see on the courtesy notices too, just they get the educational stuff in the back, but she'll give you an update next time on that.
Because I know there's some local people.
Yeah.
So what I'm taking from this meeting is I will email the grant analyst tomorrow and put together just kind of a general summary of what we're looking at applying for and seeing if that would be a competitive grant versus the inclusive programming for dementia. And then if he does say yes, then continue working on the grant for the inclusive programming to go towards the ALA grant.
Yep.
Is that,
Yep.
is it,
Sounds good. Okay. So we're gonna move on to item B4, review and discussion of Gilmore Girls Day Library event. Okay.
Mike here,
That's
right?
you. Q.
Okay. So a few weeks ago, I don't know why, I was just thinking, what can we do to get the kids and the mom to come to the library when they're at school? Obviously, during the summer, they're gonna be here. But if anybody here has watched Gilmore Girls, which I know these two don't,
Oh, I don't know.
okay. So it is a story about a mom and a daughter and her family. So my idea was, it actually Amber asked me this if it's a day for it, and it's actually they have a festival in Connecticut from October 18th to the 20th for Gilmore Girls. So I keep looking at the idea that we have the beautiful park that we have. So now that we know that we have that training in October, I was gonna pitch on the 18th, but I'm thinking maybe on the last Thursday of October, which is the 21st, or no, or the 20th. Let's do it on the 20th. And the reason I say in October is because the name of the festival is the Fight of Life Festival, which I gotta I gotta put myself and rewatch the show again, okay? But it's a celebration of the foundation of Star Hollow. So my idea is we call the library and the park Star Hollow for a day. It's gonna create a lot of girls and moms to come over, and even guys. And we have the storytell in the park. So my idea was that we can come up with a storytell where we can say the story of the Gilmore Girls, and people can read while they're walking at the park. When I mentioned the festival, I was thinking maybe we can get some vendors, like some vendors they do the hula hoop, the fairy things, and have them come over, and we open the library. Is several books I look into, and we have like over 100 books about Gilmore Girls, from little girls to adults, and some of the characters actually have wrote several books already. So I don't know, maybe we can get a couple of the lead kids to the library, or we can get somebody to help us maybe become the Gilmore Girls for a day. So I'm thinking on maybe on a I wanted a Friday, but obviously maybe we can do the 25th after we come back. And I'm willing to do all the work and put it all together with you and work with you on it. I just think it'll be an amazing thing to do on a Friday evening, where moms and daughters can get together and go in the library, or we can do it through the day all the way to like maybe 7, 8 o'clock. And I choose October because I think October is one of the months that show is more, they have more stuff going on. Plus, it's not going to be so hot. And it's Halloween, so it'll be easy for us to come up with some decoration that will not be that expensive.
Just one thing. I love it. October, the weather cools down and there's a bunch of conflicting events. So we just need to make sure that it's not a completely conflicting event that day. But I think it would draw a lot of attention.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Amber. We decided like if we can do it for free this year, but then next year we can charge to the vendors to be here, and we can make some like extra money for the library also that day. But I think it's a good idea just to start like Amber say 0 for now, just to get attention here, and we can become like an annual event to do for the library, and it will create more buzz to the library, and more people will come to the library.
I like the idea of it. You start that, and then we could possibly look at other ones to follow.
Yeah.
Especially like you do that. But I know Christmas, everybody does a lot of things. But if you have a lead up to the Christmas in a small town, and then
Well, we have so many things going on before Christmas in a small town. That I think that will conflict with the city, right? With the park.
a lead up to it.
Yeah.
A lead up.
But okay, so we can do that, yeah.
Yeah. But I like that because you see how this goes, and then that way you can plan
Put something
other
for November.
events.
I think that we wouldn't be looking, if we did an event, we wouldn't be looking at anything like a large scale event, that would be taxing on other department staff, because, once the market days, events come in, the, all the departments are very, very busy, with those events, and we don't want to compete against those events either.
No,
So we would-
or we can just have the nonprofit organizations to come over, and maybe somebody can do a fairy corner, somebody can do a bracelet corner. I'm sure that
Luke's
the
Coffee.
nonprofits that we have.
Question. I missed, why were you suggesting Friday? Could it be like 2 hours on a Saturday morning from 9 to 11?
I don't know, because I don't know, we have a budget for the staff to come on a Saturday because we don't open on Saturday. So that's what I was thinking, on a Friday, so we can do the whole day and maybe extend it to maybe 7 p.m. where people come after 5 o'clock, because most people are gonna be working.
Because I do agree. I plan way in advance, and then
Yeah.
my October is already like,
Yeah.
it just gets so busy. So
I
think
just
it-
have to figure out what the dates are available. I was trying to do more to the end to get the better weather, more than anything else.
I think if we aim for the evening,
Yeah.
it would be
But that will mean that we have to have the staff maybe stack in different hours, because we're gonna need a staff in the
I'm
library.
just thinking with a mom with a 9-year-old, you invite me to a library event at 10 on Saturday, I'm there. Cause on Saturday, like around 6, I'll be busy, you know, doing stuff made for me. So I'm just saying, but I could see myself like, there's an activity for the library this Friday.
Oh, yeah,
I
the
know there's-
ferry. Oh, I'm
yes.
coming to that one. I'm looking
Yes.
forward to that.
So that looks really attractive to me. You know, it's during the day, and then there's other things happening that Friday.
The city of Imperial's 120th birthday.
Oh, yeah.
So those just are my thoughts, just with you know, with a person with a child. Like, but I mean,
You're gonna get a little bit of my grumpiness because I love it and I'll come with my daughter. I just in terms of I'm gonna give you the legal background on some of the difficulty we go through for our bigger events. So if you can walk them through the differences, right? So if we bring people in, we have to make sure it's covered by insurance. When we do the vendor booths and we start to involve everyone signs a waiver. They have to go through. It's just it's not impossible, but when we do our signature events, like the big ones, I know we're shutting down the streets. We have how many staff that we have to pay to, I mean, it's like 50 people working, 50 to 100, I would say. It's a huge. So I think if you could just, because we can make anything happen. I love it. But when we talk about what we're doing in terms of what you mean by small scale, so they can start planning, you know, or finish that discussion. Because there's a point at which it's almost impossible for us. And we plan for, I mean, I do the permits and paperwork on some of this stuff 4 months before these things.
yeah.
So,
And that's what I was thinking.
But
what
yeah,
about
the
if
smaller.
I use the
Yeah.
if I use the nonprofit organizations to come and put a booth, they can actually talk about the nonprofit, but they can actually give away something for the festival. Even
No,
if it's
I
4 or
like it.
5 books.
Yeah.
And then the main thing is the library. We really want people to come and read the
Yeah.
books, and we'll play the show on the TVs that we have.
Right, right.
We have a coffee place already. That can be our Luke's Cafe.
Hi, Luke's.
Love it.
There's actually a vendor for coffee, so.
Yeah.
Mobile coffee, that takes care of that. That means that the liability is off of us and not to them.
So maybe Amber, while they're talking practicality, if you can kind of explain what you think when you say small event or what can be done with all the ideas.
I mean, as I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, look, we could sit down and look at maybe some nonprofit organizations that would want to participate and create a booth that's Star Hollow, you know, that kind of the over the top, you know, as they're walking through. And that way we're not going after the vendors who are already,
No, not the ones
yeah,
they're selling.
that-
No, I'm
yeah.
thinking the nonprofit will bring like maybe bracelets to give away, maybe wands to give away, you know? Getting excited.
I'm excited. Yeah,
But at the same time, they can talk about their nonprofit. Like we are part of Optimus and several other ones. So I'm sure we can actually, you know, just be present in the community.
So we could put a list together of the nonprofits we could reach out to, let them know the theme, and have them come up with some Star Hollow type of,
In theme.
yeah.
To make a little competition, we'll give them a little trophy. We have everybody vote for them.
So I did review a little bit too with the festival, and I said, well, let's go to Connecticut.
What part of Connecticut? You know the name of the town?
So-
It's Washington, Connecticut. I think. Yeah. But it was just like a fake name. Star Hollow really doesn't exist. They just didn't connect.
I would also suggest after you get feedback, my favorite way of kind of coordinating these things is to create what's called an ad hoc committee, which you see with government bodies all the time. So rather than 3 of you, where you're violating the Brown Act, if you assign certain people to do it, this is a good opportunity. And I'm not saying that necessarily this one, but anytime you feel like something needs to be worked on and you don't want it to be just one person, you just pick 2 people and say, hey, report back to us, you know? So just an idea on any of these ideas that you guys talk about.
I appreciate that.
So what you're thinking is that it would be in the library and then also the outside?
And the outside of the park, because we can make this story tale all around the park, because we already have the story tale. We have some games already that we have put in there. I believe we have some games for adults, and then we have the park, and then we just have people to come over and have a booths around it and give things away. And I know we can find a couple of people to help us, like do games with the kids if they want to. Nothing that's gonna be charged in that way. We let the nonprofits talk about what they're doing, expose themselves to.
Thinking of connecting the library to the park, does that require the streets to be closed
I don't think
or
so.
near the park? Is that like, I'm just trying to think of logistics wise, because I'm thinking event planner now, and I don't know how much that would take.
And I would tell you that I think we've been through so many of these, like we've had the autism day. We as a city have seen all scales. I think Ember has too. So when you kind of get into that, you'll be able to identify, autism day, we had officers and everything there to help with the kids. So yeah, I think we have staff here who's looked at every level of this. And so maybe if we can follow up on it, but Dennis may have, I don't know what.
Well, I think the equation changes a bit if once you move outside the four walls of the library,
Okay.
as you indicate. Now, there was a car show, not too long ago, and basically that was, in my conversation with the parks folks, compared to our special events, he felt like it was really easy. That is basically I think there was some streets that were closed, but they basically you put up barriers, and then there may be some folks involved making sure trash gets
Picked up.
handled properly, and beyond that, depending on what the nature of the event is, that would be about the extent of staff involvement. I would just say this: I looked at our website, and I thought the dates of our special
I
events
thought so
would
too.
be
I didn't see
posted.
it.
And the only thing I can think of for late October is the council recently approved a trunk or treat where a car club comes in and parks around the perimeter of the park.
It's on a Saturday usually, right?
It's usually on Halloween night or maybe a few days before, but also the Dia de los
Dia de los Muertos.
would be around there, but
So, I don't know, as I sit here, I don't recall the date that the council approved for trunk or treat, but I'm told that it was very successful last year, that everybody ran out of candy within minutes of the
Yeah.
event starting.
Oh, yeah.
So staff would be involved with that. So depending on the staff involvement, October is kind of the month when things start ramping up with the special events. So I would want to be mindful about that. We ask a lot of staff, particularly around the light parade and Christmas in a small town. So time that they often want to spend with family, they're here. I want to be mindful about that. But I think my observation of the staff is that once the task is put before them, they're pretty good at pulling it off. So I think there needs to be some conversation about looking at the calendar, obviously, but determining what your vision is about the scope of the event, and then we can kind of have an internal discussion about whether or not we're in a position to staff it properly.
The library's open on Saturdays.
Not at all.
No, not at all.
That's what I was suggesting on a Friday or even on a Thursday. In that way, we don't have to bring extra staff on a Saturday and just use the budget that we have right now. And then bringing the nonprofits organization to help us, then that will be free labor.
Do we want to assign 2 people for this to be further discussed? Yeah? Okay. Does anyone want to?
Obviously,
Definitely Valentina. Anyone else want to
Would've been
be
funny.
part of this?
there's no one not
Committee?
here because that would have been the second one. Yeah. There you go. Okay.
Yvonne? Okay, Yvonne and Valentina will be part of the ad hoc committee for Gilmore Girls, and we'll discuss logistics and figure out.
You can always reach out if you need help.
You're like, I watched it, so. No, she watched it.
you guys need to watch.
Okay, perfect. So let's move on. Item B5, review and discussion of fundraising opportunities to benefit the Imperial Public Library. All right, so do you want to?
Yes, so, Madam President and our Board of Trustees, after our last meeting, during the last meeting, some fundraising opportunities were being discussed. And so, in order to be able to further the discussion, we added this to the agenda. So I will open it to the trustees.
Okay, all right. So with this, I want to propose something that uses our garden. So for a fundraising opportunity, I would like for Sir Optimist International of El Centro, along with other nonprofits that might be available to us, that we could do perhaps a from garden to table fundraising event. And we would possibility of reaching out to this chef. Oh gosh, I forget his name, but he's part of Ursa Hospitality, and so he's a local chef that has done different fundraising events featuring food from actually here that's grown out in Imperial County, sometimes from the desert and everything. But we could take that opportunity and use the food that is grown here in this garden and structure a whole event for it, and perhaps make it like a nice dinner. It doesn't have to be right now, because let's be honest, we're heading into this, well, it's hot, but we're also heading into busy December, October, November, but perhaps move it to like, say, January or February, or if April allows it. April 23rd is World Literacy Day, so kind of use that as a jumping off point, but it gives us plenty of time, to plan, and the goal would be, I would say, fundraising of at least 10,000. So that's one thing that pops out, and that way, there's plenty of time to figure out where we can do this, where we can host it. I'm sure that either it could be, we can use the park, but we have plenty of time to plan for that, liability and everything, and then, just it would be to the benefit of the library, so the programs can continue, books are bought, whatever it is that we need.
And I think that would really work well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could be the ending of this program, and then we could be talking about funding the continuance of the program.
Yes. And
So what I can start with is speak with the excuse my brain, the garden,
you're actually a master gardener?
master
The
gardener.
gardener.
Thank you, I appreciate it so much. Oh my gosh,
The
because I was
funniest
just gonna
word.
keep
It's
spinning.
not normal. It's late.
The master gardener, because we are planning on weeding out and cleaning up the garden outside, and working on the irrigation of there and planting. And so we'll work on the different seasons and when the time is, that is, it's always, depends on weather, but, when the optimum harvest time would be. And I think that would be really nice, and maybe we can work with the city council and request permission to get an ABC license and serve wine or.
I think the front yard, that's just what I'm gonna call it. It's gonna be our front yard. This grassy area in front of the library, if you just string some lights, it could be beautiful. The hospital has a little grassy area between the maternity ward and the main entrance of the hospital, and that's what they do for one of their dinners. Are this Dennis and Katie, this is allowed? This is good? This is a okay fundraising for the library? Okay.
I think so. Yeah, so this is the beautiful thing. So for me, I can make it happen in terms of legal work, right? And so you got to look to Dennis and Ember to see. Yeah, so from a legal standpoint, I've been to some of these farm to table dinners where it's only 20 people and everyone they pay a lot of money, and it's a whole event for the evening with the good wine and everything, and in a nice location, or as big as I've been to those Pioneers fundraisers. So obviously the bigger you get, the more complicated in location. But then as to policy, both Ember and Dennis get to say whether, on all these ideas, whether it's something that they want to do, and
Well, it sounds like a great idea. And just like we always say, the devil's always in the detail. certainly, by the time frame you're talking about, I think we might have some additional choices venue-wise because, the hotel, restaurant
Oh, yeah.
should be open.
And that's
Um,
another option. We have plenty
And,
of
but
time.
I certainly like the idea of having it on a city campus. I think that would be awesome if the weather permitting. But I think it's something that we can, make
Is-
happen.
Is it an issue like the kitchen situation? Is that a big issue?
I don't think
Is
a
there,
kitchen,
like, sp-
I don't think a kitchen would be the issue if we
No,
just.
I'm just referring because like part of the PTA, I know like we were gonna sell food. Oh my God, there was all these rules about the kitchen and this and that.
Oh,
It's
no, that's
commercial,
usually,
yeah.
yeah, it's commercial. It would be up to, the caterer that's going to be providing it usually, but if it's at the hotel, then that's something that we don't have to worry
Oh,
about
no,
anymore.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like it might have to be a venue where like,
The kitchen is
yes.
already there. Yeah.
which-
Or-
but I love your idea here. That's, I was.
I like the idea. Here, we
beautiful.
have the little kitchen
But-
in there, and maybe
Yeah.
they already cook everything, you know?
Yes.
Have a
I
kitchen.
feel that this, with, excuse, I'm sorry, with the chef that you're talking about, he would have,
He would probably be able to pre-prep. The thing is, we would, in order to ensure the food safety and everything of it, we would probably keep it inside the library, possibly in the community room. That way it's there's temperature control and everything's observed, like all health, protocol, whatever it is that we need would probably be okay. But I would imagine that the caterer themselves would probably pre-prep a lot of it.
Right,
It's just
right.
it's just transporting and making sure that it's kept in a
Stay warm.
warm or a cool environment, depending.
Well, I think the tickets would just fly out the door.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The gentleman, the owner, he's on Instagram. Everybody's like, ah.
Well, certainly the food bank has its annual harvest bowl
Yes,
that's
yes.
every year is wildly
Oh, yeah.
successful.
They're almost sold out, I think. The tickets are not even
Oh, well,
available
where's
yet,
ones?
but they're at 66% right now. Whoa. But first we're doing, because I'm part of that
Sponsorships.
event, first we're doing to all the sponsors first, and once the sponsors pay off for all their seating, then it's gonna be open to the public, and that's when they go fast, because you don't get that many tickets available. And it's always sold out.
And I just
Very
think
nice
that
event.
maybe if we shoot for April, then
Yeah,
we
we
have
have
a
plenty of
lot
time.
of, yeah, plenty of time.
Yeah.
I can see this sprouting into something so good because even if right, I know. Because we can even. I always think of well, like when I go to a children's museum. I don't know. My brain always like goes back to the library, and I see people's plaques or names of like how they contributed, and I'm like this like it's for kids, but it's educational, and I always like this little sculpture or little wind. My brain, Ember, I'm sorry, but
Oh, no.
you know, this would be great inside the library, and I don't know, I associate it. So I feel like doing something like this
We
could
can
go
make
into
a
something
wall
way
for
bigger.
the library, for friends of the library, and add their name to it, everybody.
Once that
It's
nonprofit.
been very successful when we have done it for other events with friends of whoever the nonprofit is. It's like you just start getting it out there, $100, and all of a sudden you end up with like $4,000 in one night. It's pretty amazing. So, like I said, I think with plenty of
We have plenty of time, I
Plenty,
think.
plenty of timing. I- think
I think there
another
are some
ad hoc.
legal issues we would need to look at if we're gonna create an entity. There is one for parks, but it's kind of jumped through all the hoops, and so they have their tax exemption letter, and they have their nonprofit corporate status with the state. I don't know if there's a less onerous way to achieve what your goal is, but
I've researched it, but if you're in finance or you guys are good at this, because I am not a tax expert and every lawyer has learned to say that 27 times out loud. But I have read a lot about it. And although there's a specific nonprofit that we created for Parks and Recreation, when you make a donation to a government entity and specify, so you don't, if you just give the money, that's different. But if you specify this is for a library purpose, then it's tax exempt anyway. So I don't know whether that's all of the rules but take a look into that, but that would answer some of those questions.
I wonder too if like one of the nonprofits would be willing to hold the money and then do that donation like straight to the library and write it off like
Look
that.
at these ladies.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have a feeling, you know. So those are just like the little.
Yeah.
It might work, you know, just kind of being like that holder, and then, but the end goal I think is whatever the library needs that you know we can alleviate money wise. If it's an event that we can help or brainstorm and bring to life.
If we can't set up a nonprofit by that time, you know, the legal issues and everything.
I can tell you it's a really lengthy process. So I would say, just from my standpoint and staff resources, I would say very unlikely unless we kind of do magic. But
Is it possible that we, instead of calling it Friends of the Library, adopt an old book, sell it for $100, and the money goes back to the library during that event? Can we do that?
oh yeah, we can do it a different way rather than creating a brand new nonprofit. I mean, I'm not saying that's not a goal that you want to direct us to do, but I mean, even just the fees to start that are thousands of dollars. So it's not a simple task. I'm just being honest. But any other version or any account, we can look at and see if people can just donate it. We can call that fund whatever it is, but it would have to be spent on these purposes or through another nonprofit. But yeah, I think there's a definite possibility of
Like,
that.
We just
Yeah,
have to figure out how to put it together.
yeah.
if you go through your inventory of books,
Surplus
that would normally
books.
be.
They've been waiting so hard.
And we just say,
Yeah.
take home a book, adopt a book from the Imperial Library, $100.
Absolutely.
Who
goes
wants?
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can even do that without the nonprofit involvement, but I will double check
Okay.
on that.
Well, isn't the difference that if you've achieved your tax exempt status, that people that donate could
It-
deduct it, right?
Yes, but if they donate it directly to the library adopt a book program through us directly, it's
Be okay.
tax exempt as well usually. So
Is it possible to make a donation to actually the city and say, can you put it
That's
towards the
the-
library?
Yeah.
that's the
That's
other
what I
option.
was saying.
I want to
So-
double check it because again, not a tax lawyer, but I will tell you, I've read specifically a lot about this. So instead of creating, the government is the equivalent. I just don't know if it's all, both with the federal and the state. But I will tell you, I've read that tax code in the last 2 years specifically for this purpose, but we'll look at it.
So I'm part of a foundation, and I know that it's easier for them to, and they are, I believe, are a nonprofit. I need to double check, but it's easier to donate to a nonprofit organization, and I don't know if that's like a nonprofit to nonprofit, or if it can be whatever the status is to nonprofit. But if it has to be nonprofit to nonprofit, then we can just do donation to, or if it's just fundraising as a library and just, this is the bucket that it's gonna go. I don't know. We'll figure out the logistics. Is this something that we want to make another committee for, or something we just want to discuss again later?
No, I think we're doing it, right?
Okay.
We want to raise the money for the library.
I'm putting it up, I suppose, for a vote.
Okay. Who would like to join the ad hoc committee for,
They have a
Should we
choice
call
on
it?
that one.
for our fundraising dinner, we can call it?
Okay. I'm on.
Valentina?
Obviously, you won.
So it's the same two.
I think
The same
We're
two?
gonna need more. Anybody else want to help?
Well, we can't do 3. I wish we could. We
I
can't,
can help with that too. if you
Okay.
want.
okay?
I don't know anything, but I will.
Okay. And I know that we will need hands-on for the actual event, and we will want everyone to participate. So, because I mean, when it comes to being an event, it takes a village. So I think
yeah.
we should all be here and try to, you know.
And I will also tell you, you can add it to the agenda as much as you want, right? So
Okay.
that you can all talk about it. It's
Okay.
just, it's a very good way to streamline avoiding any
Any
brown act
tasks.
issues
And I
and bring
think
it back.
it's about time that we fundraise some money for the library.
Because we want to see those programs continue, and if that means that one of those grants, that $10,000 grant, if we don't get that, the other one, well then, I'm
Help with the program.
we're trying to give you the other one, so.
Okay. So let's go ahead and I'm just making notes here. Okay, perfect. So then we can just add these 2 items to our future agendas just to kind of recap and then move on.
Pick a day and all that.
So, the Gilmore Day and the fundraising event and the ad hoc will be the same 2 people. Are you both comfortable?
And she's gonna go on the
able to
other
do
one.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
no.
Altamirano will
And the
serve on
fundraising event.
Altamirano. So, can you remind me who's on the ad hoc for the fundraising,
Is it,
trustee
it has
Altamirano?
to be two.
Oh, it's me and Yvonne for the fundraising.
No, for the,
For the Gilmore Girls?
For the Gilmore
For the
Girls, it's
Gilmore?
Yvonne and I.
So then for the fundraising event, who will the two be? Because I think we have three right now that want to.
Right.
We have three.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
well,
have
it
three
has
for
to
the
be two.
fundraiser.
Oh, can only be two?
It can only be two because of Brown Act.
So if you want to go, it's not, it's an inconvenience if you have three, only because then you have to schedule, either do it at a regular meeting or schedule a special meeting which requires 24-hour notice.
Oh,
So if you want to do that, and three, if you want to participate, and you can schedule and let us know enough time in advance so we can post an agenda, then three of you can participate.
or we just do two, but we can have a group of people working with us, right?
That's another.
Well, if you don't want to worry about the Brown Act, then it's two.
Okay.
Always two.
If a third member attends, then you have a Brown Act issue.
If we make it to where Valentina and Altamirano are on the ad hoc committee, but since I'm president of the nonprofit that would like to put this on for the city, how would that work?
Yeah, my guess, I'm speculating here. My guess is that you couldn't switch hats in that way to say, well, I'm not here as a board member. I'm here as the president of a nonprofit.
Okay.
So we just,
Yeah, I don't know that would fly.
okay.
Okay.
So we just put it together and then we present every month until we get there, right? That's what I'm hearing?
Yeah, so if we all want to if we all want to discuss it, then we have to bring it on the agenda every month to discuss. So, I don't know, so would you suggest then, since we can't switch hats, that it's just Yvonne plus someone else? Since she is representing Sir Optimus also?
Because Sir Optimus would help put on the event
Right.
for the library, so it would be a bigger group.
Yeah, so I think as long as far as the library board is concerned, as long as only two of you attend, there's not a Brown Act issue.
Okay.
So two people that can only discuss fundraising dinner.
Okay. And then after that, we'll meet
Then we
every
can
month, we
hear.
can bring it here.
Yes, we
Okay.
can, then we can
And
further
then-
discuss.
But then after that, we can create a group of people, right? That's gonna help us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think we can bring in the other nonprofits to discuss,
Or staff, yeah.
or
Yes,
staff
that's what I'm
with the
saying.
two ad hoc
But
members.
what about if we have to meet during not a meeting, like with the staff?
Just with the staff, all you want. If it's the two of you, you can meet with anyone, everyone, talk about it all day long.
Okay,
But special meeting like Dennis mentioned, if you need to meet with this five,
Okay.
okay. So, you and I?
or regular meeting.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yvonne
So then
and
it'll
I-
be the same two. Okay. All right, so we it's almost 8 o'clock, you guys. Girls,
know.
you girls, and Dennis.
Yeah.
I do gotta leave.
Yeah.
Is that an issue? Yes, I give it out of tennis at 8.
No,
No,
I don't
no,
think it's,
yeah, legally you can go anytime you want. Step out, leave, go. We just put it in the minute, or like we record.
record what's
If
gonna
we
be.
were voting on something,
Okay.
that would matter, right? So, but you're good.
Well, luckily we went through the work session. So we're gonna move on to C reports, C1 staff report.
So I did email all our trustees the administrator's report for the month of July. I included some information about our new adult literacies coordinator, or adult literacy and family literacy and English as a second language coordinator, which started on June 24th. And she was fortunate enough to attend the ALA conference in the nick of time. In the report, it identifies some furnishings that we were able to purchase to revive the literacy room, where we purchased new blinds. If you've been in there,
Yeah.
you've seen it needs some love. It was the original children's library, that one room. So those items have been ordered. The information on the patron served, was provided to you. Some new additional information that I attached, which I will provide, I will, provide to, our city clerk, is you did receive information on the hiking backpacks that we received through a grant. Those are now cataloged and available for checkout. Those are, everyone's checking them out.
Wow.
So
They
it's
just check
pretty-
them out and bring them back later, or how does this? Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes. So it comes, I went ahead and just printed up, the
Oh, wow.
the information that everything that's included in each, one of those kits. And there are some, items that are consumable that we replace, but so far we haven't had to replace anything. And, in addition to that, we were just notified of a stargazing kit they are releasing, to apply for. So I spoke with staff and we're thinking maybe applying for 3 stargazing kits, some telescopes. Comes with a telescope, the bag, a portable stool, a compass, a flashlight, and some guides about the night sky and the moon. So we were thinking 3 would be appropriate for the size of our library. To I know there's going to be popular times when people really want the telescope, but
So that means they can check them out to take them.
Take them
Yes.
home.
Oh, I
Like a
thought it
book.
was something we had to do. Okay,
yes,
now.
yes, definitely. And then it included are some photos of the furnishings that we did purchase, that we will be placing in the common area. So those are going to be some square tables without the casters, so they're permanent looking, along with the chairs that match the computer chairs that we ordered. So those are in blue. Those arrived and they look nice.
Okay, so
So,
they're already here.
yes,
Okay.
yes, because the word vinyl
That
scares
was my
me.
next
So,
question.
they look very nice. The public services started today installing the public computer stations. So those are being built right now and the chairs are out. So I can take you over there and show you that. And then I had mentioned to you that earlier that I had met with Kim Pena, who is the resident services coordinator for the Imperial Village. And so that was an exciting a connection with her. And I think we have a lot of great opportunities to serve our community and provide more programs for the community. And I'll stand for any questions.
Maybe I don't know. For the end of the library, those tables will be replaced. Is that what that was, that last picture? Over there by the adult section, right before the library, I mean, the garden door?
Currently there are no tables in there. The picture that's attached that you have right now, is in the common area. Those are some folding gaming tables that were purchased for the Mahjong program that we're currently using for the public. And then the second photo is a design that Demco came up with, but we went with a different, these are folding tables that they recommended, and we went with a more sturdier table.
But this is over here by the adult section towards the end, or that way?
Yes, so the 3 square tables will be right when you walk in to the entrance, right in front of my office. Those tables will be right there. So they're between the teen room and the circulation desk. And that's where people tend to gather and connect, read.
Yeah.
And that's where they've been gathering. And then in the back, it's been requested for study space.
Yeah.
And so in the future, I feel that in the back area that we're talking about of the library that's on the east end, it will provide an opportunity for a classroom space for gardening. So you can take them out to the garden, go over everything, and then come back inside and utilize those chairs and provide classes on whatever subject that we're
Yeah.
providing.
Yeah, because I have been back there during regular hours. Not many times, but the times I did, there was tables back there once upon a time. And then that's when the conversation came about of outdoor tables because they were taking those outside.
Oh, they were taking, were they white or were they black?
I remember gray, but I might be completely wrong. I don't even remember, but it was a few months ago, honestly.
Okay. They were more than likely the folding tables that we use. They're the plastic folding. Can't think of the term right now. Like a learning setup type of table. that
Yeah,
we
because it was
received from a
multiple
grant.
tables. I think I remember it would be multiple, and they weren't even that big. It was like
Right.
a half size, if you will. So
Yes.
I don't know.
So those are being used in the community room.
Okay.
Yes, so we have those in the community room, right now utilizing, which is nice because they are foldable, so we can push them back if we don't need all of them. Or during, lunch at the library, we have them all lined up right now.
Yeah, that makes sense why they're in the community room. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yes. All right. And this will be nice, with the fundraising thing comes about, we can, it's like this, like we need tables and chairs, or the garden needs, that'll get taken care of.
Love.
Easy peasy funds. Okay. Any other staff reports? We're good. Any questions? We're good?
Well, I know I'm gonna be there on Friday. I've been seeing that you guys are posting everything. It's amazing that you guys keep posting and we keep reposting too. What is the honey land that you're doing on Thursday? I'm gonna be there for the ferry, but I have it on my phone.
I'm embarrassed to say, I read it, I looked at it, I haven't had time. It has been a very, very busy, summer, with the, fiscal year and trying to get everything turned in and then our wonderful ALA. I can definitely get the information for you and
I
send
just
that
tried to figure out
to
what
you.
it was.
Yes,
It's
yes.
only 15 minutes. No, it's no, it's
Right.
an hour. It's an hour.
Yeah. So, I'll get that information to you and
Okay.
email it to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so C2, city manager report.
Nothing from me.
All right. Thank you, Dennis. President and trustee reports. I guess I can start really quick and then pass it on. I just getting feedback from patrons. Social media training, great. But also that whoever I already do have, I repost a lot. So it's just been like, what it is. So I had a patron reach out to me. Amber, luckily, I emailed her. We got that situation taken care of. So, just even if you see us out and about, if you don't bring it up to the library, please bring it up to us and we will try to do what we're here to do. Get these issues resolved, or if there's requests, get them acknowledged. But other than that, I have nothing really to report. Watching the city council meetings as usual, and brainstorming on how we can make the library a better place for everyone. And I'm glad to see so many moving pieces. So it'll be great. Let's start with Yvonne and bring it down this way.
Okay. Just just thankful for the opportunity to start on the fundraising opportunities. I will warn you, this is probably the first of many that I will try and present to the board and director. So we'll see how this one goes, and then just kind of like dip our toes into it and try and find you more funding opportunities when grants aren't readily available, then to pull from our patrons, our community as well, and just encourage that, and who knows, maybe encourage the other libraries as well to follow suit. So that's the whole thing, make it
Do the unthinkable.
Yeah.
Valentina.
Well, the only thing I can say is like you say, I've been checking on all the. I get a flag every time the city or the library posts something, so I'm trying to repost as much as I can. Trying to be in the community, talking about the library and what we're doing at the city of Imperial. I'm excited that we're gonna do this fundraiser. I'm excited that we're opening up the Como Girl Day. I'm gonna try to do my best to make it very nice. But also the one thing I was gonna ask you, I know we did it before and it was for adults. It was the earthquake class. That we, do
Earthquake?
you remember we have an earthquake
Oh, it was like
class?
an emergency
It was an emergency
preparedness.
preparedness. I was wondering if we can bring it back one more day now that the kids are on the summer vacation to prepare them for that. We had that class. When
It
was the
wasn't
class?
earthquakes. It was ironically after an earthquake had happened.
So-
But it was like an emergency preparedness class, and we had someone. It was honestly, I think it was just a patron who volunteers, and they're showing that they had the like emergency kits and what you should have in your emergency kit. It was very informative.
Very
About like you should have this in your car and you should have supplies. And I took a lot of notes. I'm not gonna lie, I did not buy anything. But I mean, it's one of those educational. And sometimes I think I'm like, hey, remember that rope from that class?
But
kind of
I was
thing.
thinking now that the kids are here, maybe we can do it more through the kids and that way they know what to do in those cases.
I am aware, I mean, there is a national shake,
Yeah, big one.
Shakeout.
Okay.
shakeout day.
Well,
I would,
Office of Emergency Services would be a good contact to see what resources they have and they can come in and help.
because we did it for adults. I think we had like 10 adults, but I thinking now that the kids are coming to have lunch on Fridays, maybe if we can just add it to that because we keep having earthquakes. I don't know if you guys know.
I
that,
have
but
not
we've been-
felt them, thank
we've been
God.
having it.
If not, I wouldn't sleep.
But yeah, we've got, I think, is it Aaron or, I mean, Chief or Max are members of it, so they'll know exactly who to talk to and find out, but
we can work on that. I do think that with those summer programming, it is very, very full. And there's no wiggle room in the community room. It's
It's very tight.
it's you can ask our city manager how much programming is going on. He's signing a lot of purchase orders. Grant. Thank you. So, I mean, every day there's a program happening in the library, I mean, in the community room, along with the lunch at the library eating. So I think to add one more during this time, maybe maybe a little bit too much to ask of the staff. I'm forgive me for
No, no, I just think because I know we did it for adults, and I was thinking
Right.
Maybe it's an
Yeah.
outreach opportunity. once
Exactly.
we're not as busy here.
So we can actually, I mean, we can look at when the National Shakeout Day is and work with our captain and our fire department and Red Cross, we can work on that and I can put that on the list and with the master calendar that we've been talking about.
Oh yeah. Anything for the kids to go see a fire truck. They love
Oh,
that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
exactly.
Yeah?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Have we done one for the heat as well, or what we should do with signs of heat exhaustion or anything like that, or?
We have staff training for, it's required. HR, our human
Like
resources
internal.
provides the training for all of our city employees.
I don't think we've done it for the public,
For
right?
community.
It's not for the public, no. The library actually, for the city of Imperial and most libraries are identified as a cooling center and a hydration center. So we're identified as a hydration center because we have a water fountain.
Yeah.
I've been planning to go out to purchase some bottles of water, or some cups, and so I can fill up some water for, because some people do come in and they are exhausted from the heat and I get concerned about them because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
keep telling them to go to the water fountain and
Yeah.
they don't.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to provide, take that to them while they're sitting and resting. But I mean, I can put that on a great suggestion about, we did just install a smart screen TV. And the goal for that, because there's one on the exit and entrance area that has a calendar and a rolling screen of the new books that are been cataloged. But the goal for the smart screen that we purchased is to have it more interactive and like short videos and something like when you go to the doctor's office, it has information. So information about library programs. It could have the
Heat exhaustion.
exhaustion.
Yeah.
Information on there.
Signs,
Uh,
right? I mean,
composting.
obviously the signs, but yeah.
Yeah. So, and our IT, has set up the, program for that. So I'm going to start working on putting the videos on there. So I think that's a start, and I'll put that on the list on, providing community information as well.
That'd be good to have that info.
So heat exhaustion, and that's one thing with the, public library as well. They're very much into, I apologize, a lot of things have been going on, about disaster preparedness. So, and I think that would be important to be a source. We're always that source for everything.
And I saw something posted, I think by the Department of Education on LinkedIn, saying like how libraries were more, like, they're just a lot more than what you think. And I had even seen a grant that had opened up, but it was posted, but it wasn't open for application. I think it was just renewal, but it was, for you to be able to complete your high school education, had you not online at the libraries. I told you I've been looking for grants. So, it's just things like that, libraries, and I reposted and I put libraries are more than just spaces with books, go find out what your library has to offer and things like that, even if it's short snippets of how to compost, or come ask us if we, can help you get started. I don't know. We're more than just spaces with books, and we're gonna run with that.
And what I'll say, what I learned, at ALA, which I loved, because I always said we're more than just books, and they said we are books and more.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, so much to offer. Just come visit us.
Well, I just want to echo what Mia says, that, well, I want to thank you, Amber, your staff, the city, for all these wonderful initiatives and the work. I can imagine, well, I cannot imagine, all the work in the budget, the numbers, and also looking for grants, the opportunities for the, like, a dementia and Alzheimer that usually are forgotten sector of the population, and so much, like, and I see our library seems so tiny, but it has so much to offer to the community. So I thank you.
Thank you.
Tiny but mighty. Imperial comes through. I mean, it's true. If there's an event in Imperial, people are gonna come. So I'm excited to see. We have the reputation already. All right. Anyone else have anything to add, or can we adjourn? All right. It's only 2 hours and 1 minute. The next regular scheduled meeting of the Imperial City Board of Trustees is Tuesday, August 13th, and this meeting is adjourned at 8:02 p.m.